We're glad to have you back. The Pakistani rupee fell 1.3% to a record low of 288.5 against the US dollar on Wednesday, a day after former Prime Minister Imran Khan was arrested by anti-corruption agency in Islamabad. Now, Pakistan's international bonds nudged lower with a 2024 issue down 0.4 cents on the dollar, according to Tradeweb data. The bonds trade at deeply distressed levels between 49 cents on the dollar for a shorter date maturities, while longer dated ones change hand at about 33 cents. Following the arrest, clashes erupted between Kane supporters and the police, leaving at least one person, a protester, dead. The Interior Ministry has suspended mobile broadband services in the country. Joining us to look at this is a financial analyst and stockbroker, Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed. Mr. Mohammed, it's good to see you.
Thank you, Tulu.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Tulu. Always a pleasure to be on your show. One of the best in the land. So it's always a pleasure when you call us. We want to rule with the best.
I appreciate you. Just like I had to barge into you when this story broke, that I needed you to help us understand it. But first, I'm surprised. I don't know if you are. You understand this more than I do. Why this immediate impact on the currency and, of course, on the bonds just immediately after the arrest, and we see the slide. What do you think is responsible for this?
I think there's a lot of tension in Pakistan at the moment, and then the what they call the economic capital of Pakistan, which is Karachi, is under lockdown because a lot of millions are going out to protest. So business activities on a shutdown. And then again, the international committee is beginning to look at this could result into a very, very internal crisis that could be difficult to handle. So a lot of investment in Pakistan, a lot of people are beginning to, a lot of international donor agents, they are beginning to look at their portfolio, reappraising their investment in Pakistan. Because Ahmed Khan is like a court in Pakistan, and his people are ready to go all in. They are even moving from Karachi now to on their way to Bangladesh. They said they will definitely continue to protest until he's released. And like you see, schools are shut down, companies are shut down, everything seems to be in a shutdown. And definitely, naturally, when you have an economy that is shut down, especially the economic powerhouse of that country, you expect what we are seeing now. It's not surprising for me.
Worried. The Interior Ministry is saying that they will suspend mobile broadband services across the country. That is also a problem. Let's understand how this would affect businesses across the board.
Number one, if you look at Pakistan, they are more into one of the best also when it comes to IT in that region, competing with India. So what we are going to see in a lot of business are going to shut down. We're going to see unemployment rate getting high in that place. And remember, again, they want to cut themselves out of the international community because of the kind of protests that's about to happen. They don't want the international community to know what is happening in Pakistan. So there could be also abuse of human rights. And we could even see that with the way Ahmed Khan is handled, even being taken to court, the way he was being handled by the police and by the military. Also, it's something that the international committee already seen. So definitely they need to shut up the broadband to cut off what they're about to do, because I think a lot of human rights will be abused with the way the military, it's just the beginning of the military crackdown, because already over 190 something people, supporters of Ahmad Khan, have been arrested, and more arrests are still to come, and most of those trials will not go with the true justice system. It could be a type of trial that would not give it. I mean, what I'm saying is that almost like they are suspending the rule of law.
Mr. Mohammed, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I said it's more or less like they are suspending the rule of law.
Interesting stuff. But I'm not looking at it this way. When there's protest, crisis in countries, it tends to have this economic blow, either even more than even the political or whatever issues that seems to be around that country. And when this happens, recovery is not always as fast as the negativity that this leaves behind. You get what I'm saying? How does this come to you?
I mean, it's sometimes, the political class always think of power first. They always think of power, power. But what gives you power is the economy. What Ahmed Khan called in Pakistan is not because he has political power, it's because the economic empowerment that he has given to his people. So a lot of people, he is like a mini god there, especially in Karachi, which is one of, like I said, one of the largest city in Pakistan, the economic stronghold of Pakistan. So now what we're saying is that when you shut down an economic of activities, it's more or less that you are shutting down the country as a whole. Because what you are going to suffer from food insecurity, and then there will be insecurity. A lot of investors, especially foreign investors, that have been the key in driving Pakistani economy, will be leaving the country because very soon you start hearing embassies, countries telling their embassies to shut down and their nationals to leave Pakistan. I think it's something that will be happening any moment from now because it's a very tense situation there. And when you talk about economy, I keep telling you that you don't play politics with your economy. Economy is the life wire of any nation. When we're talking about economy, we're talking about food. And when when they say a hungry man is an average man, a hungry man is an angry man. So definitely, when it comes to economic activity is the bent road of any country survivor. You see, you could suspend a political system, and then you have the military come in. It's not going to be as bad as when you say you're suspending economic activities or because of internal crisis, economic activities are suspended. Recovery is always very, very slow and recovery is always very, very slow, like you said. What you intend when you start this economic crisis, it starts, the response from the market and international community is very rapid. But when even after that, they return to profitability or stability in the economy is always very, very slow. Sometimes what just lasts maybe a month or thereabout takes up to 2 to 3 years for stability to return economically. So it's a lesson to the political class to always know that you need to put your economy out of your politics.
Let me also ask you that the issue around the dollars, which seems to be a dominating currency, everyone believes it's legal tender almost across the world, everywhere you go to. But countries seems to want to start to shift away from that, trying to see how they can try to reduce this dollarization, if I'm allowed to use that word. What does this mean, even for a country like Nigeria? Yes, I knew I was going to get that smile, but really, do you think that's a way to look at now? After is somewhere which we are supposed to unify as African continent and spend our own single currency, we are yet to get that to functional.
I told you, why Alpha cannot get functional now because, again, we have the Anglophone and the Francophone war. We've not been able to sort that out yet. Secondly, we have not been doing businesses within ourselves that much. African and African countries have not been doing business within themselves. We still depend on doing business with the European nations more than we do business with African nations. So definitely for now, the dollar will still be the legal tender international trade, especially within African countries. And even within African countries, you see that even we still use the dollar as a means of exchange, not even our local currency to their own local currency. So when people talk about saying that they are trying to get rid of the dollar so that they can be trading, it's not as easy said and done, but not to forget that the American economy is still the largest economy in the world, and it still has a lot of control when it comes to import, export, and when it comes to what is the key driver of economy this time when it comes to the tech space. They have the largest tech companies in the world. They seem to do everything. So it's going to take a lot for we to begin to think that the dollar now, let's just trade with the dollar. Let's have a single currency. The European Union have done it. It's still not working very well. The dollar is still stronger than euro. I mean, even the pounds is still being stronger than euro nations that are more than a single country. So it takes a lot for you to begin to say, oh, this is the medium of exchange. The only way that you can succeed in doing that to say, okay, no more to the dollar is when you are producing more than what the dollar is producing. But as it stands now, a lot of African countries are backward when it comes to production quota to outside world to get it to do those trades. So we as Africans, we mustn't deceive ourselves. We still depend more of the dollar. Even the Chinese economy, they are also, which is the second largest economy in the world, they have the second largest reserve in terms of dollar by the Bank of China. So definitely, it's not anytime soon that you will see that the dollar will become a thing of the past. So what I advise African nations is let's begin to do business within ourselves. If we begin to do business within ourselves, then we'll begin to think of a single currency. But as long as we are not doing business within ourselves, it will be difficult for the Anglophone country and the Francophone country to come together and have a single currency.
It is more scary with the report I saw lately. Yes, we really need to stay a bit on this, where they said 40% of Nigerians now save in dollars. That scared me a lot. I don't know if you saw that report, but I did, and I am worried. It looks like it's safer this way. The naira continues to lose its value, just like the Pakistani rupees is also losing its value at the moment. But the dollar continues to, the greenback, like they'll call it, continues to stay strong.
Go. Yeah. I think a lot of Nigerians do not believe in the naira again any longer. They think that the naira has no value. And when you look at the 40% that you are saying that are not so much interested in holding the naira, they're not saving the naira, then you look at the younger generation, the Jay-Z generation. They seems to be the one that don't even want to do any investment in Nigeria. They like even now they want to invest in the stock market. They don't want to invest in the local bond. They don't want to invest in the Nigerian stock exchange. They talk about foreign stock. You talk about them, oh, come and invest in the Nigerian market. They tell you, no, I'm investing in a foreign stock, in a foreign company. They just think the dollar is a currency to hold, especially when you look at the exchange rate, when you have to do that comparable to the naira. I think it's a mindset. Hopefully, with the incoming administration, we could begin to see things turn around. And also with the coming of Dangote refinery, whereby we will have a lot of refined petroleum products here in Nigeria, then we'll begin to build a very robust reserve, because a lot of our money that we are supposed to be in a reserve is being used for the importation of refined petroleum product into the country. So, and we've not got that stability. And again, we begin to think of how we can export more. Thankfully, the import-export non-agricultural product seems to be bringing in a lot of earnings into the country, especially with the RX200 that was introduced by the Central Bank of Nigeria. We expect that policy to begin to drive our economy. And like I said, it's a mindset. And also, maybe Nigerians also should begin to patronize made in Nigerian product. That, for me, would be the game changer. But for now, I think a lot of Nigerians still believe in holding the dollar. But again, Tolu, you must be excited that by now people thought the exchange rate between the naira and the dollar should be going for like 1,000.
Yeah.
But fortunately for us, we are having it at 730, 720 at a point. And I expect that when the new administration comes in, we'll begin to turn up policy that are productivity driven, and then we begin to attract foreign direct investor and portfolio investor. We could see the naira begin to synergies in between the official and the parallel market to between 470 to 500, hopefully before the end of the year.
Indeed, I agree with that, there's been this stability in recent times, 725, 730, that's in the other market. And also, the CBN will definitely tell us that the IRE window is the recognized window which they operate with. But let's wrap up this discussion now. We see what's also happening in Sudan. We've seen what's happening in the United Kingdom, even with series of protests back to back in recent times. The Ukraine and Russian war is also on one side. And finally, this recent war now, the protest and all that is happening around the Pakistan's economy. What is your outlook, or how do you think this will shape the expected outlook as projected by the likes of IMF and World Bank?
Well, you need to look at how much does Pakistan add to the global economy. Then that's when you begin to know that the protests will have a negative effect on the outlook of the global economy. Unfortunately, I don't think they have so much into contribution into the global economy. Especially, you must know that what we are seeing now is just an internal crisis, but then they have a larger crisis. Remember, the porous border they have with Afghanistan, and also allowed a lot of terrorists have made Pakistan their safe havens. So it has not really been an economic city of the world. So definitely, I don't think what happened in Pakistan will have too much effect globally. About the UK, I think it's more or less a minority protest that has to do that. It's not our king. We need to have our own parliament. We need to have our own president. I think that has been going on forever because you realize that the British monarchy seems to be the only monarchy that is still standing over time. For Sudan, I fear for Sudan crisis that the effect we have, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, in the area of proliferation of weapons. We've not recovered from what happened in Libya, and that's where we begin to have the ISIS Africa coming in. Yeah, so I'm scared about that because again, you begin to see movement of ammunition into a porous borders of African nations that could tip a crisis in terms of weapons that would be finding their hands into hands of terrorists, kidnappers, and bandits. For me, that's my fear, and I expect the Organization African Union to come together, now and begin to see how they can fight that. Outside of that, I think the World Bank and the IMF have predicted a steady return of the global economy, and I think that will follow when you look at what these countries, Sudan contribute, Pakistan contribute, UK contribute. You realize that the contribution of all this nation to the global economy is not as strong as if you have had a crisis like what you had in China when there was a lockdown. You saw the effect on the global economy, or if you have a crisis in the United States of America. But for these countries now, I think it's still manageable and we could still get out of it.
I must thank you so much for your time, Mr. Mukhtar Mohammed, for making sense of this topic for us, as usual. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Tolu. Do have a pleasant day.